All right, let's check out between all three of these welders. We have the Yeswelder here, we have the VEVOR, and we have the titanium. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about my experience on all three of them. I can't really put demo in all three of these, but I do have different reviews on the channel. You can look up on each welder and determine, but look at those reviews in detail and find out these things. But I'm going to tell you about the difference between each one of these. They're all decent welders. They all work. They will all get the job done. The titanium is a 140. It's only 110. This is 110 and 220. This is the cheapest welder of all three of these. And this one is 110 and 220 as well. So if you're looking for the cheapest one, check out the link. This sucker's less than $300. In fact, I think it was like, if you catch this video right away, it was like 240 bucks. Amazing, great welder for the money. You really can't beat it, but there are a couple little things you need to know. So you're gonna wanna watch that review video as well so that you know what you're getting. I'm still thinking it is the absolute best deal you can find on a welder. The thing I like about the Harbor Freight welder is you can go to Harbor Freight and buy it. You can get a warranty on it. If you have any issues, you can always return it. I really don't know how long this welder is going to last, but really for the price, it's really worth it. It's not bad. The Harbor Freight has automatic wire feed. When you hold the trigger, it will feed the wire really fast through the system. Like this one here has a MIG wire button where you just push it, and then that'll bring your wire up really quickly. The thing about all of them that I always look at is all three of these welders all have a metal feed system. So you want a metal feed system, okay? And this one has a metal feed system. So does this one have a metal feed system, and so does this one. They all have metal feed systems. They all take the large spool of wire. So the things that are good about the Harbor Freight is it has a really nice thing for the wire to be held onto. So then that's a really good thing to have, the way that this is designed. This comes on and off very easily. It's very accessible right here to get to the wire. It does have the settings on it. This one does not, so you kind of gotta know your settings. In fact, if you just pause them and look at that up close, you could probably say use those same settings on here, and they'll be pretty close. They're not going to be the same. This one here, I found it needs to be a little hotter than what the settings are on this. So it does have all the settings there, so it's fairly easy to use. It does a job. It will weld just fine. It does come with a gauge, not the particular one that's on it, but it does come with a flow gauge. And so all that stuff, it comes all inclusive with everything you need to weld. It also has an inductance knob, which is kind of nice if you're looking for that. These two both have wire speed and heat selector on rheostat, so that you don't want, one thing you don't want in a welder, you don't want it to go clunk, 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 clunk. It's too hard to dial it in. These here you can get nice, you can both do, these work the same as far as that goes. They have raised the price on this one a little bit, so it is a little more expensive than the others. So keep that in mind. And it is a 140 amp. This is a 250, and this one's a 205. So you get a little more welder with these other two, and they are less expensive. But they don't have inductance. This one does, if you like the inductance. I don't know. I didn't really find it use it that much. I just put it on 5 usually and just left it there. Now the thing that I really didn't like about the titanium, I mean, it welds great, it does everything you need to do again, is one of the things I found is when I let off the trigger, the gas would run for like 3 or 4 seconds. So if you're stitch welding where you're going zzz, 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 and the gas just goes shh, and you just throw money away like crazy if you do a lot of stitching on this. So I honestly found that pretty irritating. And for doing spot welding on cars, or you're doing like a ton of spot welds where you're trying to stitch weld something, panels together, butt welding and stuff like that, it does use a lot of gas, but it does the job really nicely. And you can turn the heat down a little bit more. The heat, it goes a little bit lower than this one does. So it can be good for like welding 22 gauge, a little bit better maybe than this one. But all in all, I do like this welder a little bit better. So next, I don't want you guys to give up on this one yet, because this one really is worth listening to if you're a new welding person. But we're going to talk again about the VEVOR next. Now this thing's dirt cheap. It is dirt cheap. It is a TIG welder, a MIG welder, and a stick welder, all three. And it comes with the stick welder and the TIG torch. So some of these that you'll see, like this one here, does not come with the TIG torch. This welder, even for the cheap price that it is, comes with a TIG torch. And now it's a kind of a cheap thing. The TIG torch, you have your separate bottle, because remember, you need a argon gas for TIG welding, and you plug in right here this long blue hose. You plug your argon gas into your thing there, to your other tank, so you can run two tanks. You run your argon gas here, your argon mix over there for your MIG welder. You have this for your TIG, and you plug this in. And then what you do is, to TIG weld with this, you just open this knob, you strike an arc, and then you TIG weld with it. So it's kind of cool. It does have that. It's kind of a cheesy little TIG welder, but it does work and can do the job. So this one again has an all metal feed system, just like the other. Right here, all metal feed system. The one thing that I had to do on this one is this thing here, is I had to add a spring. Again, on my videos that I have on this one, you just add that little spring in there, and then this thing fits on here nice and tight for the heavy spool of wire. But it's all metal. It's a little harder to reach. It's in the corner here than the Harbor Freight is, but really it's totally doable. I love this welder. I'm keeping this welder. This is the one I'm mainly using now. So anyway, there's that. It's a MiG 250. It's nice and crackly when you weld with it. I found the Harbor Freight, it's a little weird sounding when you're trying to weld with it, so getting the sound right is kind of strange, but it does work fine. This one here is more like your regular welder. It's going to sound more like your regular welder does. And it has 250 amps. It's 220 and 110. I've welded 1/8-inch steel with it on 110, and it does it just like butter, with smaller 0.6 wire, a 0.6 millimeter wire versus the 0.8. You guys probably know them as 30 and 25. The 25 is a small one. I've taken the 25 small wire, or 0.0235 or whatever. The different wire manufacturers call them different, but it's a small wire. You take the really small wire, and I ran that, and I welded even 1/8-inch steel with this. If I try to do that with the Harbor Freight, I have to switch to 0.030. I can't weld it with the smaller wire. It just doesn't do it. For some reason, it does not weld thick steel with the small wire. This one does. It'll weld with anything. You just crank the wire speed up and just go. No, I'm sure there's a limit. I haven't reached it yet, but like probably when you're welding 1/4-inch steel, I'm sure you're going to probably need 030. But it's nice when you don't have to keep switching spools. That's a pain in the ass. I don't like to do that. So this welder is a keeper for me, and it's really almost a dead tie between this one and this one for me as far as usability. But again, I know how to do my adjustments and stuff, so that's why I'm keeping this welder. This one here I'm giving to another friend of mine, and I'll tell you why. It's not because it's a bad welder. It's a really good, it's actually probably a better welder than this one is, okay? But the thing about it is it has automatic settings, and the friend that I'm giving it to, he does not know how to weld, and somebody who doesn't know how to weld will love this machine. So if you're new at welding and you're looking for something that you don't know anything about anything, this thing is really, really good to use. And it is also a it is a MIG, TIG, and ARC. It does not come with any of the TIG weld stuff, so I don't really call it a TIG welder, but it does. It is TIG welding capable. It has a similar type of setup to this one for TIG welding, and it doesn't come with a torch, so you have to order that separately. It also, these two welders do not come with one of these. They're like 25 bucks. It's not a real big deal. Neither of those do. The Harbor Freight does. So this one, the thing that's nice about this is what you do is you turn it on and you push this rotating button here. I'm trying to think, it's this one right here. You push this button around, and I've tried to do this on video and it just blinks. You can't really see it for some reason. My phone and this thing have a conflict of when they're recording or whatever. But you push this button, it'll go around, and then it'll go to one setting in its thickness. So you're gonna want to watch the video on this one if you're interested in buying it. You go to the metal thickness, and you put the metal thickness in, and you touch nothing. This thing does its own settings, and it's very, very good. I found it to be right on the money. In fact, I could not set it better than that machine did. So it's got fully automatic settings. You put your metal thickness in, so let's say it's by millimeter. So you put in, say, 1 millimeter, and you go to weld it, it's dialed in. Now, if for some reason you don't like those settings, you can turn it around a little bit more, and there's a plus and minus, and you can add more heat and wire speed or lower the heat and wire speed for your preference. So if you for some reason don't like the settings that are in it, which I loved, once I put it at 0, I was like, this is right on the money. So I found it to be very easy to set up, very easy to do the settings. I wasn't having to go back and turn knobs. It was just on the money every time I pulled the trigger. Very consistent, nice weld. Really like the machine, but I can't keep them all. So again, I don't have space for all these. So like I said, this one here's going to a friend that doesn't have any welding stuff. He doesn't have any experience, and he needs a welder. So I'm going to set it up over his shop. So if that's you and you're brand new, you don't know anything, and you can afford it, these are a little more money. They're 400-ish, I'm going to say, somewhere in that neighborhood. And those are like 450-ish, okay? This is like 250-ish. It's a damn good price on that one in the middle there, okay? And I'm keeping it. So it tells you something. If you know how to weld already, this thing's just it's a no-brainer. Just go to the VEVOR. You'll be happy. But if you don't know how to weld and you don't know how to do your settings, or you're just not sure about setting settings, it's much easier just to set the metal thickness that you do on this one and just turn it on, pull the trigger. Everything will be just pretty much dialed in. Now, the only disadvantage to that is sometimes some guys like to crank their wire speed up and to fill in a hole or something like that. I don't really do that myself. I just spot weld. I'll take a hole and I'll spot weld around the hole. Just keep going, zzz, 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 and let it cool, let it cool, let it cool, let it cool, and I'll just keep going around until it's filled, and then I'm done with the same settings on this welder. So I can set it where it is, and it's not going to burn holes too easy, and you just start spot welding around that hole until it's filled, and you're done. Where I've seen some guys just like on this machine, they'll just take and turn the wire speed up and just go zzz and try and and it just kind of makes a wire mess, and then you turn down the wire speed and then kind of go around it again and kind of melt it all together. That's, this way is a lot better. So again, this one has an all metal feed system. It's kind of hidden behind back in here. It has the really nice big, if you see this nice big thing for the wire, it's much easier to get these on and off. The changing wire spools on this one's much easier than on the VEVOR. The VEVOR's a little tougher. Now, I got to tell you, when I first got the Yeswelder, I was kind of like, automatic settings? What the hell? And then after I used it and I got used to just putting the metal thickness in, I found that to be much, better and easier than anything else. It could do the flattest welds that I've ever seen, where you just didn't have any excess. And as soon as you pull the trigger and let off, the gas turns off within, it takes about a half a second or so after. They all will overrun the gas a little bit. And that's fine. That's what you want. That one overruns the gas like crazy, just way too long, 3 or 4 seconds. I don't know what it was, just a long time. These ones here, it's maybe a second, a half a second. That's it. So, and they were both about the same. So anyway, if you're interested in any of the machines, look up on Mike Effin Garage channel or look up on Mike's Random Videos for a review for each one of these welders, and then you'll see what things that I have. And I have one on that one that I've used it for over a year on this channel. I only have one review on this one, and I do have another review on the Yeswelder on both channels, and I do have one on both channels for that one. If you want to watch all of those, that's great. That'll help you make a decision. If you're looking for something really, really inexpensive that works, this thing kicks ass. That's all I got to tell you. For the price, I'm shocked. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to last. Like I said, that we don't know. They're all made in China. So anyway, does that make them bad? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But, you know, for the price, that thing's amazing. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And again, I'm positive on all three of them. Talk to you next one.